This is That One Audition with Alyshia Ochse. All right, Mr. Sullivan Jones, you are the first person, like I was just saying, that we're going to do something a little different, just like a little icebreaker. So I want to know, I want you to answer these questions as fast as you possibly can, because it might also surprise you. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Weirdest place you've auditioned?
Ooh, in a outside in a parking lot. In a parking
In a
lot.
parking lot?
Yeah.
Did you get it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
I
not.
only ask because I had an episode a few episodes ago with one of my dear friends, Emmy Ickwalker, and he tested from an airplane and got it. Like an airplane.
I saw the blurb about that. That's insane.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Gotta do what you gotta do. If you're on that airplane, yes.
So that's right. Okay. Funniest way you've gotten a job. Acting job. Let me be specific. Funniest way you've gotten an acting job.
Funniest way. Racking my brain. It's not funny, but it's like someone was fired and they're like, all right, next person up. You know?
Replacement.
Yes.
I love a good replacement. I know you come from sports too. It's nice to be like all of a sudden pulled off the bench and now you're here to shine. Sometimes that's the best.
I didn't spike the starting quarterback's drink with something that would knock him out for the afternoon. It wasn't me, but I'm here and I'm ready to play.
And you're ready to play.
Yeah.
Okay. For your auditions, especially since you went to Brown and then you went to UCLA. Now, when you come out in the world and you're actually auditioning, do you have any audition superstitions that you do before you go and throw down a tape or go into an audition?
Yeah. So for the longest time, I believed that if I bought anything new for an audition, I wouldn't book it. You know how you're like, oh, I need a cowboy hat or something.
Yep.
It was maybe 10 years. I was like, fuck, if I have to buy something. Oh, can I swear on this, by the way?
Fuck yeah. Yes, please.
Okay. Fuck. I was like, if I have to buy anything new, it's not happening. And then for a show on HBO called The Gilded Age, I was like, fuck it. I bought some nice stuff. And I was like, this is the one. And I booked it. So it was about buying the right thing at the right time.
I mean, I like that. That's how we work. Okay. So most ridiculous thing you've ever been asked to do in an audition?
Whoa, I probably blocked this out. I feel like this is more in commercial auditions than theatrical. Oh, okay. Yes, you're going to say something?
A commercial audition is what started this podcast because I had flagellation not once, but twice while running in a bikini for Axe body spray.
Are you saying you proved yourself or you just farted?
I just farted like a sound that had never been heard before. And not once. It was like the second time that really did me in. I was running in place in a bikini. So like, you never know the weird, that's a weird thing to ask somebody. Run in place.
Yeah. Cause it's like you're having to, there's no forward propulsion. You're having to like, it's the up and down movement. I think that got you.
Basically naked. So like the vulnerability. Right. But hey, it started a podcast, so it's nice. You never know. Happy accident.
Were they like, we need someone who can fart on command, or did this was
Nope. This was just all my improv, all the improv. I added a lot to that scene.
Yeah. The secret is I can't stop farting. That's my character's secret. That's extraordinary. You said what is the craziest thing
the most ridiculous thing you've been asked to do in an audition?
I feel like all auditions are back when it was in person. They were all just like showing up felt ridiculous.
It did. It did.
I had work. I was making money, and y'all were like, "It's 2:30, and you need to come across town and be here at this time for these 2 lines." That feels ridiculous. Just to begin, just that.
It is. Ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Okay, so now let's just get into the meat and grind because the next questions are like. Best and worst audition, but I want to know I want to know first before we get there. You went to Brown and you were playing basketball and doing the theater department. How did they let you do both? That's a very rare occasion.
I didn't ask. I just was like, I just was like, I'm doing it. And then the first 2 months in, I was like, this is crazy because practice started at 5 a.m. So then I had to get up at 4. And I was also doing theater class in the afternoon, and it was just too much. So I understood I had to pick pretty quickly. And I broke it down. Later on, I thought about it like this. Like the people say passion, I'm passionate about something, which is a word that I think is overused. But I looked it up, and the root of the word is suffering. It has to do with suffering, the idea of suffering. So if you are passionate about it, you are willing to suffer for something. And with basketball, I was like, oh, I'm not willing to suffer. I just like running around and being on a team and having fun. But with acting, I was like, I think I'm willing to suffer to be an actor. I think I'm willing to like go through the fire in order to make this living. So I was able to use that as a North Star to kind of pivot more into the acting world.
I've never heard it described that way. That's beautiful. And I think what we do relentlessly is offer over our whole instrument. And it's not even so much the suffering, sometimes even in the material or the work, it's the suffering of putting so much effort into it and not achieving. I'm assuming you were very good at basketball, right? So you could be in control of the mechanics. You could practice that free throw over and over again. And it's up to you to get it in the hoop and win the game, right? Whereas acting, you could nail free throw and not win the game. So, So then why did you go from Brown to UCLA? What was the impetus to move?
I auditioned for a bunch of schools, got into USC, UCLA. I visited UCLA with a friend, and I remember it was like evening, and we're driving down the 405, and we pulled on the sunset, and the sun was dappling the trees, and we got to campus, and all the little cuties were out, and we're just like, this is amazing. And I was like, whoa, UCLA. And it's in LA, so you have that kind of starry-eyed romantic sense of being in where the magic happens. Yeah, it made sense. And it's a public school, so it was like way cheaper than Brown. And my mom was a single mother at the time, was paying for my college. So I was like, I felt good about giving her a huge discount on my tuition.
And then coming back a little closer to home too, because
that's it.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, Bay Area. So I was able to drive home on weekends and stuff like that.
So tell me, did UCLA prepare you for the audition game? I used to teach at UCLA. I'm not knocking UCLA.
Where did you teach?
I was teaching acting there. I've taught acting there a few times.
Undergrad?
Yeah, undergrad. And then we've done a live podcast here at UCLA a few times as well. So I love UCLA. I love all the film schools and stuff, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily prepare you for the real world. And I'm wondering if UCLA did, because you graduated 2010, right?
That's right. This is no shade to the people and the personnel that I worked with, but in terms of curriculum, no, not at all. We didn't really put anything on tape. I don't think we had any proper audition classes. We had one workshop with Michael Donovan. Shout out to Michael Donovan. But there was no system of learning how to audition on tape.
How to get your job, essentially, at the end of the day. Once you got the job, they prepared you for getting the job or having the job.
Getting the job if you were doing theater, if you were doing a play. But I'm sure we'll get into this, just how different. Actors talk about it all the time, how different preparing being on set and being in a play couldn't be more different. So you have to learn to work differently.
So then that leads me to the question of the play that you did. Is that the moment when things really opened up? I would love to know the audition for the play and how were you workshopping the play and that's how you were a part of it?
No, this was also another. So you're talking about Slave Play, which is on Broadway.
Yes. Yeah.
So they workshopped it. Pretty much every character, I think, except for 2 remained from the initial workshop. Then they opened up the part I eventually ended up playing. They opened it up. I went in and read. A week later, I got a call back, went in and read. I left, heading down the subway stairs in New York to go catch my train home. And the phone rings and they go, hey, this is really crazy. We couldn't get in touch with your agent, but we actually want you to come back. We want to just see a couple more things. And I was told later that it was like, it was too easy. I made it look too easy. And I'm not saying that to blow smoke, but they kind of were like, we want to like put you through more of the ringer to kick the tires and see, is this a fluke or is he just, does he feel comfortable in the role? They brought me back in and they made me do it a couple more times and they asked me some questions. And then I think a couple of days later, I got it.
Okay. And this is 8 years after you graduate. Are we talking 2018? Because 2019 is when it gets up and on its feet.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. I want to know where in that 8 years,
By the way, I just became self-conscious for everyone watching. I'm in my car. I pulled off to the side of the road. When we first started the podcast, you were like, are you in your car? Are you sure you want to do this in your car? And I was like, I don't have a choice because my 10-month-old is sleeping in the house. And my wife would be like, type down over there. So just to name the thing, I'm in the car.
Yes. You're in a spaceship. We're doing this from a different space and time.
That's right.
We are very family friendly. My daughter half the time creeps up and just stands like a ghost. It's great. Yeah. It's great.
Breaks through the blurry.
Breaks through the blur. Yeah. So that 8 years from the time you graduate to you auditioning for this and in New York, I want to know best, worst auditions. Like, how do we all of us? And I love Bill Esper. I quote him all the time on this podcast. He says it takes 10 years to start working as an actor, 20 years to make a career. So you literally are right at that precipice, right? Like 8 years post-graduation, because that's the role I feel like that breaks everything open for you. If we're watching, it brings that train of momentum right behind you. So I want to know the 8 years up to that point.
I love it.
What's the audition process?
Let me paint a picture for you.
Please do.
So let me paint the picture. I graduate from UCLA. I go back to the Bay Area to do theater for 2 years. I do a bunch of theater. Then I'm like, I'm ready for the big times. Pack up the car, move to LA. It's the whole story. $300 in my bank account, whatever it was. Then for 4 years, I'm in LA from the time I was 23 years old to 27. I booked one job. One job.
What job? Which one was that?
It was an episode of Parks and Rec.
That's what I was going to say.
Which is a dope show. I was so not good at auditioning for TV and film. I had no technique. I had no theory of how it worked. I didn't get good at auditioning for TV and film until I started working with an acting coach after Slave Play, which we can maybe get to that later. But those, to answer the question, those years were lean. They were lean. I tended to get a lot of stage work and be better. I was fine auditioning in the room for theater because I would take up space and I would make bold choices. And then with TV and film, I just felt stuck.
Contained. Yes.
The mark, and I was worried all about what I couldn't do. I can't do this, and I can't turn around, and all that kind of stuff. So it took me a while to figure it out.
Well, and I wanted to ask about your size, not to put you in a weird box, but television and film, you're 6'4", right?
Yes.
Very rare that we're seeing such tall people in television and film. And then in theater, it doesn't matter if you're 5'6" or 6'4".
Yes, it doesn't matter. And it's actually my strength on stage is my stature, my size.
Yes.
But in the frame, it's neutralized. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter. So like the thing that makes me stand out is all of a sudden neutralized in the frame.
But I really love that your preparation, like Brown, UCLA, really being staged, you going up north, doing stage for a couple years, then trying to switch mediums, stepping into television and film. Isn't it fascinating that then you get on stage, get accoladed, so many people get to see this play, and then they're like, come on over to television and film. Let's come play with us now.
Crazy. Here's a great story. So the year before I get Slave Play, I was in a show called The Looming Tower. And it was
before? It was before?
That was before. Yeah. So I'm going to tell two stories. I'll try to make them brief, quick.
We're here for it.
Ang Lee is making a Muhammad Ali movie. This was 2015 or something thereabouts. I get an audition and I'm in the process of auditioning for months. I get a call back and then they want to see you boxing and then they want to see you with your shirt off and then they want you to go into the studio and read with the casting director and blah, 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 blah. Just keep getting strung along. And then eventually it went cold. And didn't hear anything. The project ended. A.V. Kaufman is casting out of New York.
I know. Yep. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So this is during those 4 years where I wasn't working. I couldn't pay anybody to hire me. So I was like very excited about that. And then it goes away. Then like a year or two later, it comes back. And they go, they revive the thing. They want you to audition again. So I start auditioning and I get a call back and I dip a boom. And then again, it goes cold. And I'm like, damn, man. So it's around this time that I moved from LA to New York. And I get to New York and I'm doing theater. And I get an audition on an off day. I was doing a play in Connecticut. And I come into the city to audition and it's A.V. And A.V. is there. And like when you're at these big casting offices with these like, these huge legendary casting directors, oftentimes they're not even there. It's the assistant. But I get there and she's there and she goes, hey. And I'm like, hey. And she's like, oh, are you in New York? And I'm like, yeah, I moved to New York. And she's like, why? And I was like, hey, LA wasn't really working. And yeah, and I just trying to give it a shot. And she nods. We read the scene, no notes. 2 weeks later, I have the job, which is a series regular on this Hulu limited series with Jeff Daniels and Bill Camp and Peter Sarsgaard and Michael Stuhlbarg. And I asked my reps, I was like, what's the deal? How do I go from one credit on Law and Order on Parks and Rec to this? And they said, oh, because of all the stuff you had done for the Ang Lee audition like 4 years earlier.
They always say you're not auditioning for the job, you're auditioning for that room. I had put you at the play and getting Looming Tower like at the same time. I was like, obviously that makes sense. You're on stage, A.V. Kaufman comes and sees you, and of course you're going to get that job. I didn't know it was before even the play.
So it was like this fluke. So I went from co-star to series regular.
Okay, let's pause and let's talk about that for a second. For every I would be remiss. So you get on Parks and Rec, you dish out a few lines, which is the hardest job, I think, to do. I don't care. Anybody can argue with me about it. Where series regulars come on, they know that you're like, it's a hard job. I want to know the difference. Go, okay, see you later. Right? Thanks for coming. Hit your mark. Make sure you get 2 times to do it. Goodbye. Right. Now, especially with the pedigree of people you're working with on Looming Tower, walk me through what you learned as a series regular. You know how to have the responsibility. You've gone to school. You've been working on characters and all that stuff. You've been doing play work. So I know you know how to do the job from an acting standpoint. From a business standpoint, what did you learn going from co-star to series regular?
I worked with this guy named Tahar. You're saying, clarify the question for me, not from an acting standpoint, from a business standpoint.
Both, I guess I should say. Okay. I know your talent could match that. You trained for years and years. You put in the hours, right? So you might have to like learn some business things in order to have your skill set match what you need as a series regular. I think it's got to be pretty alarming to step into a world like that with that many powerhouses. Have gone from show to show to show. They know what's is required of them. They know how to sustain themselves. Yeah. And maybe you already did that because you had the stage, but I'm just curious what you learned.
I think I was so green and just so like, I'm just happy to be here that I didn't know what I didn't know. And it wasn't until years after that I was like, oh, I had no fucking clue what I was doing. And I didn't really know how to act for the camera. We've heard this before. Tahar Rahim, who he's a great actor and a very sweet guy. He was the lead of that show. And he just said, yeah, you go from wide to medium to close up. And so I think of it as like the wide, I can be big and use my body. And then the medium, I try to get a little more still. And then the close up, I try to have it just be nice. Now we could talk about whether or not we agree or disagree with that. But that was like the only thing I was working with at the time. I'm telling you, I was bad at auditioning and I didn't know how to work for the camera until I started working with this acting coach. And I was like, oh, there's like technique. There's a vocabulary here that once you know what to expect and how to freak it, then you can establish that. And then you can like do the actory shit of putting your heart and soul into it and being in the moment and all that.
Well,
I think you have to have the technique first.
And okay, so who's the acting coach that you started working with?
His name is Jay Perez.
JJ
He worked in
Perez.
New York. He doesn't promote. He is just a student. He's worked with everybody. He's read everything. He's a New York theater guy. And he's extraordinary. He's like really opened up. He's opened up my world and my career and everything. And I think everybody should. I don't care where you are, if you're Michael Beach or Michael B. Jordan, or you're just starting in school, or you're Denzel. I think you need to have a coach or somebody who's giving you feedback and somebody who's saying, iron sharpens iron. You got to have somebody who's the best athlete have coaches. The best, whatever it is, you got to have somebody who's a mirror for you.
I could not agree more. You don't know where your blind spots are. Exactly what you just said. You don't know what you don't know. It's a fun game. It should be a collaborative game. I'm so grateful that you're also talking about the tech. In television and film, the tech will support your craft. Your craft cannot support the tech. The tech will do so much of the work for you. And then you're not efforting in your acting as soon as you know the tech. What did you learn tech-wise that carried you through? Because I'm just going to catch the audience up from doing that. It starts around like 2021. You haven't stopped working. You're going from show to show now. Have you noticed? I've been noticed that. Yeah.
I mean, coming from, I looked at your IMDb page before this, and it's in production, 20 things. Last year, 12 things. I'm like, you have it dialed in. You've got it dialed in.
But what we were just talking about, 20 years, right? Like I just surpassed that 20-year marker. So now I didn't know any of this. That's why I have this podcast, because I think even if you're coming out of a conservatory, even if you're coming out of school, exactly what you said. One, you don't know what you don't know. And then even if your craft is brilliant and you're winning theater awards, now trying to go get a co-star, you're like, why the fuck can I get a co-star right now? There's so much technical. And now that we're at home and we're self-taping, so many people are against it. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'm so for it. It makes you so much. It gives you those hours that you're trying to get on set. It gives it to you at home. You're learning the frame size, how you can, exactly what you said. I'm going to give you this close up right now. As soon as those worlds start to collide, you are an asset on set because it all comes down to money. I don't care if you're brilliant. Nobody cares if you're brilliant anymore. Can we get it in 7 minutes? Great. You're hired.
We got to make our day. We got lunch in 7 minutes. Yeah.
Exactly. And even like your play, right? I love that they're like, he's really good. Is this a fluke? Come back. Let me see you do it again. Because you don't want to get somebody on set and you're running for daylight and we're toast because they don't have that muscle. That's why I think it takes 20 years to all of a sudden figure that 100%. All out. And I've started to work a lot. This is literally my 20-year marker, and things are working. But it's also peaks and valleys. And right now you're relevant. And I just did a great podcast episode about this, development versus relevant. In a development phase, we're learning, right? I hate when people are like, oh, you're a developmental actor. Everybody is. We're all learning. It's when you become relevant, you've mastered something, and something clicked in the last 3-4 years for you where you are now relevant. You've mastered what you and JJ have been working on.
Definitely not mastered, definitely not, but in process. One of my favorite quotes at the moment is, practice or process is the seed and the fruit. So the idea being that it's easy to be like, I want the job. I want a serious rate. Mood board, vision board, I want. But I think when I'm working in the way that I want to, I'm trying to do good at the thing. And if I'm doing that well, then that's the fruit. I may not get the job. I probably won't get the job. But I can look at my audition tape and be like, yes, that is what I was trying to do.
Yes. I'm so glad you said that too, because I think when we're at home by ourselves too, if you set like a measurable, tangible goal so that you can look back at your tape and be like, I did that, sending it off. Like you got to let it go. But if you're just trying to do what they want or a perfect job, you never get that job. Nobody likes perfect.
It's not enjoyable. It's not fun.
No.
The TV and film landscape, it's constantly changing, but traditional actor training has largely remained the same.
It's focused on a theater model whose main goal is to help you stretch the expression of your instrument. That's why you can have years of training,
from scene study classes to audition classes,
to even an MFA, and still not be able to book a 2-line co-star.
That's why we created The Bridge for Actors,
a collection of tech, craft, and business online courses to teach you the skills that you need to go from a student of acting
to a working actor.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I want to pick into some of these. You can pick any of them. Interior, Chinatown, Gilded Age. I want to know, were one of these your best auditions, or were one of these your worst auditions and it just clicked? Because sometimes when you think it's your worst, it ends up being the job you get.
Right. So let's talk about Interior Chinatown.
Let's do it.
I get the audition. I'm on vacation. I get the audition. I go, why you guys, I'm taking a week off. Like I never get a week off. And then I read it and it was like Taika Waititi, Hulu, and the character breakdown spoke to me. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to have to start thinking about this. And because it was Taika Waititi, I had a sense. So basically, just quickly, the show is like it is a satire of Law and Order. It like satirizes a procedural. So I said, okay, Taika's involved. So I was thinking about it. I was like, wouldn't it be cool? The first scene that I do is this little, it's like they go up to a suspect and they start asking them questions. It's a basic like procedural scene where they're trying to get information to solve a crime. And I go, okay, so it's Taika, so it can be fun and interesting. Let me do like a little precursor before I start the scene. So I thought, okay, I have sunglasses on and I'll walk into the frame and I'll look at the camera and I'll take the sunglasses off. And then I thought, let me do it in slow motion, because so then I walk into the frame and I do it in slow motion. And I got to add music to it. So then I put the bad boys, what you gonna do? And I'm like, I got to add like a title. So I put like Sullivan Jones is Miles Turner, the name of the character.
Nice.
So I took, 15 seconds to walk into the frame and look across and look at the camera and take my glasses off. And then I started the scene, just did my work on the scene. And I got the job like a month later, and Charlie, the showrunner, was like, that thing you did at the beginning, as silly as it sounds, it made your shit stand out. And everybody was like, this guy, who is this guy? And they said that was a big reason why I got the job. Because I did that silly little...
Because you did the thing. Here's what you did that was so great too, because I think sometimes people are going to hear this and be like, I'm going to do a thing. You didn't do a thing that was not in story. You didn't do a thing that wasn't... You looked up who was making the show, so you knew what you could do. And I think that first 15 seconds... It makes or breaks the tape, meaning like they might start watching and being like, oh, Sullivan's not right for this, but what is, they'll keep watching if that first 15 seconds is compelling and in story. Also, again, where can you, when people are like, I'm going to stand out, the way you stand out is bringing your authentic self truly to it. I love that you did that. I want to see that tape. I want to see that tape.
I don't have it. I need to start saving my tapes.
You do.
It's in the ether, in legend. Yeah. And
you obviously didn't shoot in a studio with a gray background because you were on vacation. So did you just?
I did. No, I did. I came home. I came home. It ended up working out that I was home by the time I shot.
Okay, so you still shot with the gray background. But I also love the like Sullivan Jones. It's just like opening credits of a television show. Yeah. You made them.
Yeah. But to answer your question from earlier, I think the gift of self-tape is such a gift. Two reasons. One, you get feedback. In time. You get to taste the meal that you're making and be like, no, it needs more salt. You can't do that. That's why part of why I was such a bad auditioner for so long is I just wasn't seeing my tapes and I wasn't able to go, oh, bro, you need to figure this out. I was going in going, oh, that felt good.
Yes.
But not seeing the picture and the imagery and the behavior and seeing how it comes across. And then the second part is you can make creative choices. If I'm in a scene where it's night, I turn the lights down. If I'm in a club, I backlight it with a little bit of a light that looks like I'm in a club. If there's music playing in the scene, I play music sometimes. And it's not to be gimmicky. It's just to say, I have an opinion about what world we're playing in. And I'm letting you as a filmmaker know that I'm bringing my intelligence to it and my creativity to it. And I'm trying to help you piece the story together. So you're like, oh, cool, let's play. Let's play together. And this guy already has a vision of what this could be.
That, again, the tech supporting your brilliant craft. Truly, we can let the tech do so much. And then you're not trying to like, does he hear club music right now? Yeah, I hear club. I'm talking louder because I've got my music on. It just supports, I don't ever want to say performance, but it really does support performance.
Yeah.
Best way. Okay. I'm so glad you started the interview talking about Muhammad Ali. You have to tell me about Big George Foreman. So this comes full circle that you get to play Muhammad Ali. And it's not the same casting directors, is it? No. Oh, Mary Vanu. So.
Yeah. So that was crazy. That was right when COVID started and we moved into the self-tape landscape. Mm-hmm. And what I did for that is I made a video of me boxing in a gym and I interspliced it with footage of Ali boxing and I just cut it back and forth. And that I think also helped me push me on the radar, to the radar. And that was the first audition that I worked with my acting coach on. And I remember we did a thing where in the scene, Ali's talking about matador, a bull in a matador. And I had this suit jacket on and I realized that there was a red lining inside the suit jacket. So I like took my jacket off and did the red thing with the matador. So it's just stuff like that. Am I being too specific here?
No. Oh my gosh, Sullivan, I was literally in my head, I was like, our audience are actors. This is brilliant. Because I always say, if you can watch somebody else audition, you can borrow ideas. And I coached somebody this morning and she was so frustrated. And I said, brilliant. Nobody else is going to be frustrated in this scene. What are you frustrated about right now? And she was like, how did you think of that? I'm like, because I watch auditions all the time. Everybody else is going to approach the scene the exact same way. Actually, frustration lives beautifully in this scene. Let's play with it. But it's us hearing other people be like, oh, wait. Oh shit, I can do that. Right now you're giving people specific permission, tangible things that they can be doing with their tapes constantly. And these are the stories that I love hearing. Is sometimes people forget to leave in all of this detail, right? Where you're like, yeah, pull open the jacket. What could be better? It's not like you went out and bought that, I'm assuming, right?
I did not. I had it. Yeah. But I thought, wow, amazing. Yeah. But I agree. I agree with Michael Beach, who you had on earlier, when he was saying, like, I try to comb through the script relentlessly, assiduously, and look for, here's how I think about auditioning. Mm-hmm. The story starts as images. Like, I think of it as a dream. Someone has a dream. Then they go to transcribe the dream. Then we get the transcription, which is not the dream. Then we have to, from the transcription, have our own dream. But that means we have to be like, what time of day is it? Is it cold? There's leaves on the trees. What color are the leaves? He opens the door. How big is the door? How heavy is the door? What color is the door? That's the dream. And then we then like embody the dream and then show that to the filmmaker. But I'm saying all that to say that you use the script to look for all of those pieces of detail that can help you create your own fantasy of what world this is. And then your job is, once it's on its feet, is to like bring the watcher into your dream, into your fantasy, and make all those moments of specificity.
I don't think exactly. I don't think auditioning's ever been explained more beautifully than that. It truly is. And when you read, no, truly. Okay, so let's use the car door, for example. You might choose to have a car door that's really heavy. I might want, it's a Tesla, closes, like, it's going to change everything. This is why my dream state is different than your dream state. So if you can share tools and technique that you use, you and I still aren't going to have the same audition because I dream differently. I think differently. And that's why I think acting, a lot of it is just getting back to ourselves, our authentic selves, trusting that. Yeah. And then allowing it to be fun again. I think sometimes when people get auditions, Like, and I did this earlier. I have 3 auditions later, and I'm like, oh, I have to. I'm only frustrated that I don't have more time right now to do exactly what you said. But I have to trust that 20 years of riding a bike, okay, where can I find operative words in here? Where can I find visualizations? Where am I paying attention to the nonverbal, to the actionable cues that the dreamer, the writer wrote down from their dream? How do I interpret that? So then it's fun. Then we're playing a fun game. Then we're collaborating again, right? That's all that we're doing at the end of the day.
The reason I was such a bad auditioner for most of my career is because I treated it like I treated school, which was like, oh, I want to show them that I can learn the lines. I want to show them that I can follow instructions. And that's just, no one wants to watch you do that. I want to watch you be lost in a world, and you are so immersed in the world that I am then immersed in the world. Yeah. And I just go, wow, thank you for that moment of putting me back in my body. When there's all those distractions, and I could be answering emails and phone calls, and I have to cast this, and it's already late, and the director's pissed at me. But I was so engrossed in your shit because you were engrossed in your shit.
Yeah. If you're having fun, I'm having fun watching. If you're not having fun, I'm not having fun watching you. If it feels laborious, I feel uncomfortable, right? If you're uncomfortable, I feel uncomfortable now. Exactly. And that's just the tricks of it. You already answered this, but I'm so curious if there's anything else that you do. When you get an audition, I know you read it, and you obviously are doing these visualization cues or making things uber specific and having a strong point of view. Is there something else that you do? I know it's different. Every role is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
Yeah. I work with my coach every time we go through it. I think about it like the architecture of the scene. So like, where am I putting the reader? What's the moment of the scene that I need to make clear for the audience? And does that necessitate me leaning in or leaning back or turning away? So figuring out the architecture and pinning and attaching that to the story. What does the story need, and how do I put that in my body? Thinking about costume, thinking about how I'm going to shoot it. Am I going to do anything interesting with the lights? All of those things. And then once you're in there, and this is something that I'm working on when I'm on set now, is like, why did you become an actor in the first place? Like, what brought you here? Like, why are you really here? Why are you here?
Why are you here? I'm sure the answer changes all the time, but today, why are you an actor? Why are you here?
I think it's because for me, it elicits a sense of freedom in my life, and an ability to drop the narrative, drop the story about me, I, and to exist in time and space with another person or a group of people, and to just let go and be free and feel free.
Yeah.
But that's like, to your point earlier, that's hard to do. Like, I'm talking about flow, like a flow state or some kind of spiritual, mystical state. That's hard to do, and it's not always there. It's not always there, but I think you try to make space for it. When I'm doing a self-tape and it's like action, I'm like, what color are the reader's eyes? What does the room feel like? What does their voice sound like? How does it hit my chest? Like, all these things to put you back in your body. Because you could do all the technical shit, and it's all perfect. But it's, if you're not seeing in this that I'm alive and I'm really with you and I'm really like, I don't know what's going to happen next, then again, I don't want to watch it.
Exactly. And this gets normally asked of women. And I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Now, having a 10-month-old, how
Yeah.
has becoming a dad changed how you approach being on set, change how you approach doing your auditions? I went to auditions with poop underneath my fingernails once. It is a whole shit show, literally, when you have another human that is dependent on you. For me, it cut down my preparation time. So I'm curious, you being a new dad, how has that influenced your preparation? And then, just your preparation probably.
Yeah. First of all, I got to shout you out. Anybody who has a kid out, because I thought I knew before I had the kid, just like when we would be in person, I'd see sometimes people in the lobby with kids, and I'd be like, oh my God, so crazy to have, what is that life like? And now I'm living it. So kudos for doing that, having done that, it's extraordinary. And yes, now I see that from the other side. For me, it's the same thing. It's trying to carve out the time. And the biggest time that I have is when he's napping. So if he's napping, I think of it as the best work I do typically is 4 hours. If I can get 4 hours of prep a day, depending on how many days I have, and that's in 2-hour chunks. Anything more than that, like when I was young, I used to all day I'd be looking at the script and and it's no, take a nap, take a break. I want two 2-hour blocks where I'm just all in. I turn the phone off, put the computer away, and I just let myself be taken by it. So that's very hard to do with the kid. So maybe I'll get 3, maybe 2.5. And I just have to take that and be okay with it and be like, this is where I'm at. And I would say for other actors, if you need to ask for more time, I do this all the time. Typically you should be able to have more time. At least ask for more time. I was so afraid to ask for more time early on in my career. And now I'm like, I need an extra day, I need 2 days. And if you can't have, then it's maybe I honestly can't submit because I don't want to submit some shit that I can't stand behind.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think you start to realize how much time you actually need when you do have a kid. Like I can break down a scene in 20 minutes. I got 20 minutes. Okay, this is what I'm doing. And then also sometimes happy accidents. I think once you become a parent, you can only focus, throw down the tape, and you really can let it go. The ability to let things go quicker is part of, I think, becoming a parent. I don't have the time to mull over, which is really funny that I'm going to ask you this question, but I'm so curious. What's the one role or the one audition that feels like it got away from you? Like the one where you're like, oh, this was mine.
That one. Let's do a recent one. It had to be early on when I just was so in my head and nervous about what I was doing that I would sabotage myself because I couldn't trust that all of it was in me.
Yeah.
I think early on, to anybody listening early on, a big breakthrough for me was you always felt, okay, if I fuck up this audition, my agent's going to drop me. I'm never going to work again. And that's it. So much is riding on it. And then I had this moment, I was at an audition and I was like, wait a second. I've had a bunch of shitty auditions. I've been with this 3 years and they still send me out. So, bro, you're good. Yeah, just get rid of all that noise. Just do the job.
Yeah, I think that's really it. I think we get in our own ways majority of the time, truly, at the end of the day. Give it to me. Give it to me. What do you say?
So I recently auditioned for Euphoria. So excited about that. Did all my shit, did the prep, got the costume, boom, worked with the acting coach, put it on tape, went to a new place. So I typically tape out, because I just like to show up, do it, leave. I don't want to have to set up lights and take down lights, but that's me. So I get the tape back and I realized that in the second scene where I'm supposed to be this really powerful character, there was all this space, but I'm sitting and I'm leaning back and there's all this space above my head. And I'm curious what you think, because you gave a look. So what do you think, like what did that do to me and me trying to be powerful? How did that affect that?
I always talk about this when I did my tape for True Detective. You can create hierarchy and power by where you put the camera. Now, if I put the camera underneath me, and especially you're tall, I'm going to look more powerful. If I shoot the camera down at me, which for True Detective, I sat on the floor and I wanted Matthew's character to feel very powerful. So when I looked up, the camera catches my eye, look doughy-eyed. And so it creates power. And I tell all of my students that all the time. I'm like, use your camera. You don't have to do as much work. Do you go back and shoot it? So you looked it.
I didn't.
Did you crop it?
I should have. I didn't think about cropping it until afterwards. There was 3 scenes. I felt good about them. And it wasn't until afterwards that I was like, oh, fuck, I could have cropped it. Again, the baby in time. It was like the one time I could shoot it. And I just went, fuck, okay, next time I'll make sure, because there was a mark, but I was off the mark. It was a new place and I just forgot that the mark was there. And so I was like, fuck, I can't do that again.
But you won't.
Because it's such a simple thing. It's like I was doing all the stuff, but it's just that space above my head made me look small and weak.
Yes.
I'm
well,
like,
and
fuck,
you won't ever do that
days.
again. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I have a little notepad next to where I shoot all of my auditions. Yeah. I will write stuff down like this, where I'm like, damn it. Why didn't I think of that? Or why didn't I do that? Because I was taking care of my kid and I was doing the laundry. I was doing too many things at once. So then next time I go to tape, I'll look at it and be like, make sure I'm framed right. What's your prior moment? Hold on a second. I think every time we're using our bodies, our instruments, we have good days, we have bad days, forget about stuff, progress, not perfection. Even when you've been working from show to show, sometimes, and then it's just not your part. I truly believe if it's yours, there's nothing you can do to get in the way. It doesn't matter. I've bombed auditions before and then still earned the part, or I deemed I bombed it. So like when you're not doing exactly what you want to do, I think that's where my control issues will step in and be like, well, I would have just done this. No, it's not yours, girl. Moving on. Moving on. Like,
you gotta let go. It's like radical acceptance.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you shared that, Sullivan, because I think that is just, again, going back to the tech where we can really serve ourselves and make it work. Like we're all learning how to move our bodies in every phase that we go through, growing from one decade to another, right? Oh, I'm in my 30s. I'm doing these roles. Okay. Now I'm in my 40s. I'm going to go into a developmental place. These roles are new. I get to do this. Or, oh, I've been shooting this type of film or this type of show. Okay, now I'm going to go over here. Like we're always growing out of things. I'm a dad now. I understand things differently. You're going to play your roles differently. Life experience. We develop differently and we get to change. Yeah.
Amen.
Okay. It is. It is. What's the one, because you've gotten to play in a lot of cool arenas lately, a lot of interesting stories that are so vastly different from each one. What's the role that you want to do next? What's the thing you want to step into that you're excited to flex and play?
So I want to do it, but I'm also like, do I want to do it to lead something? To show or a movie. I've seen people do it. I know people have done it. It seems like a lot of work, especially if it's a show. It can be months and months of your life. But heavy is the head that wears the crown, as they say. You got to pay the cost to be the boss. I want to do it to see what it is and to see if I can do it, I think.
You can. I'm excited to see what it's going to be. You can. Absolutely. This has been such a joy. Thank you for truly being transparent. It is so helpful. The more details, the more experiences people share, everybody that's listening, they can take what they want. They can leave the rest. You'll be surprised what people end up taking from this episode. And I always look at whoever's sitting in this seat as a great mentor. So way to pave the way for so many people and share your experiences the way that you are. Thank you. Really. And it's such a joy to watch you work. It's so fun. Like this, was so fun this last week, getting to watch all of your fun things that you've been putting out.
Yeah, this was an honor. I appreciate just the word attention is coming to mind, but just how, like, you're a craftsperson, you're a craftsman, somebody who's dedicated their life to trying to refine and to work toward excellence is something that I try to do and that I admire in other people. So thank you for setting that example and for letting me be a part of it today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Where can everybody find you and watch all the things that are out right now?
You can find me on Instagram, my name, Sullivan Jones. You can find me in Interior Chinatown, which is now on Hulu. All episodes are out. And just, if you're interested, Google me, check in from time to time.
There's so many.
Text me.
Call, phone a friend, take me out, get me out of the house.
Exactly.
Any car dealerships, any cars that want to come your way, since we did this interview in a car.
That's right. Hyundai, this is the 2024 Hyundai Tucson. Y'all can upgrade to the 2025 if you want. I'll do a commercial for you, voiceover for you, whatever you need.
Perfect. Thank you so much.